Thank you, Minister Ali, for your commitment to advancing SEL and digital learning to reimagine education for future generations of learners. As part of our ongoing effort to amplify voices of key stakeholders, students, teachers, and parents, to chart the course of education policy in the future, virtual roundtable discussions, or VRTD as we call them, were organized in the months between August and November in 5 UNESCO regions, with 150 participants from 50 countries to discuss, deliberate, and debate on reimagining education. Today, we also have amongst us students, young men and women who participated in virtual roundtable discussions to share their views on the key themes of the discussion. These students will talk about their own views in their own words on purpose of education, learning spaces, learning experiences, and society and environment. Without further ado, I'd now like to invite Jimina to share her views on the purpose of education. Jimina?
Thank you, Aditi. Hello, my name is Jimena. I'm 14 years old and I'm speaking from Cartagena in Colombia. I've had the pleasure to join the research group Beyond the Story since 2018, and one of the activities I enjoy the most is to teach communities that live near bird populations how to take care of the environment. And this makes me think that education is really important because it is the main source of our mentality, how we act, how we perceive the world, and how we observe it. And this makes education the greatest weapon that we shall use to our advantage. An education that is guided by values such as integrity, honesty, teamwork, and respect helps to solve most of the problems in the world, such as violence, pollution, inequality, corruption, and education shall be guided uh, by the values of teamwork and leadership because a society that is not only aware of their actions but that also understands the importance of cooperation and building a better sustainable world is really valuable. Teachers also play a big role in showing us the possible paths and encouraging us to explore our true potential. I consider that if we teach our sons, daughters, brothers, and sisters how how to work together, and how their actions can actually have an impact in the world and in people, they might grow to become the leaders of a big movement. If we teach our friends and family how to explore their true potential, then they can transfer all that knowledge to the next generation, creating a virtuous circle of awareness and leadership.
Thank you, Himay. Tell us why you think it is important to create a virtuous circle of awareness and leadership.
Well, as it is said, big changes start with small actions. And if many people engage to these small path breaking actions through their own awareness and their own leadership, then big changes for our society can definitely occur. But the question is, can we youth realize these goals and purposes without creating a conductive learning space? Anatol, what are your thoughts on learning spaces and their role in education?
Thank you, Jimena. I'm Anatol. I'm 16 years old from Amsterdam in the Netherlands. I think learning spaces are just as important as teachers and the material. They all have astronomical importance when it comes to education. You can have the best teachers in the world, the most detailed and clear textbooks, but it doesn't mean anything if the students don't feel safe. A lot of students are written off as bad students, not because they actually are, but because they don't feel safe enough to learn.
So in that case, Anatol, how would you define feeling safe and how can we incorporate safety into our learning spaces?
Well, I think feeling safe can be put into two categories: social safety, which is how the learning spaces must encourage the students to collaborate so that things like bullying become less likely because they have bonds, and environmental safety, which is about the quality of the building and the learning spaces themselves. There's in these learning spaces, there have to be communal areas where students can hang out, socialize, and brainstorm. But there must also be areas where students can have some privacy so that they can learn at their own pace. Learning spaces can promote happiness and give the students the resolve to push on, to work harder, and to bring themselves to new personal heights. So that's why. So when we design learning spaces, there should be an equal focus on education and socializing, so that students have an enriching learning experience. Kemi, what do you think is an aspect of an enriching learning experience?
Thanks, Anatole. Hi, everyone. I'm Kemi. I'm 16 years old, speaking from Cape Town in South Africa. I moved to Cape Town a couple years ago and obviously had to move schools as well. Because of this, I found that a fulfilling learning experience for students is made up of many different facets, but it is a good teacher that is crucial to most. Having teachers who are dedicated to offering clarification on homework or encouraging small group study sessions are important. However, due to the overcrowding in schools, it is understandable that many teachers don't have the means to offer this level of support. I think ideally there should be more schools with fewer pupils so that teachers can focus on students as individuals and offer as much help as possible. Our current reality may not reflect this, but teachers who are passionate about what they're teaching, take interest in students as individuals, and offer one-on-one support when needed, help students develop a sense of mutual respect towards each other.
Who is a good teacher according to you then, Kemi?
I think defining a good teacher is difficult, but there are certainly methods of teaching that are more successful in helping students learn without them building resentment towards education as a whole. Students are able to recognize when teachers don't value them as individuals, which can often discourage them from putting in effort into work. So having teachers who, even in the slightest, make the effort to get to know their students can be the difference between pupils doing the bare minimum to complete their assignments and them exploring and showing genuine interest in their coursework. Now, I'd like to give the floor to Luca, who will talk about his views on assessments.
Thank you, Kemi. I'm Luca Mann, I'm 18 years old, and I'm speaking from Cape Town, South Africa. I grew up as part of the Waldorf education system, one which strongly encourages broad learning and deep understanding over tests and results. While I've since moved to a more mainstream school, Cedar House, what this background has allowed me to do is treat education and in particular assessments in whatever way is most constructive for myself. I feel our education systems treat assessments as if they are the end, as if the reason we as students have been educated is to take and pass tests. Seeing assessments as the end goal undermines the process of education, for by cramming days, weeks, months, and even years of education into single assessments, we neglect what has truly been learned and developed and focus instead on the product, the percentage or symbol at the top of the page. As well as being fundamentally flawed in this way, this mindset creates an incredibly stressful learning environment for students. For as students, we feel as if the weight of our entire education rests on the marks from that hour or two in an examination hall.
So in that case, what sort of an approach is required towards assessments so students are not feeling bogged down by them?
Assessments are by no means useless. When approached correctly, they provide invaluable and personalized feedback on a student's progress and understanding for any particular area of study. However, in order to make use of such a valuable asset, students, teachers, and education systems at large have to radically change their mindsets towards education and begin treating towards education and assessments and begin treating them as what they are, tools, a means to an end to improve education rather than the purpose of education itself. The purpose of education is to improve our societies and environments through development, Vignesh, what do you think is the role of education in society and environment?
Thank you. Okay, first of all, hello everyone. I am Vignesh Khajuria. I'm a 14-year-old speaking from Dhaka, Bangladesh, but originally from Jammu Kashmir, India. Luca, to answer your question, I think the society controls the education system. The education system acts as a loop retainer, maintaining influence on the education and through it on people. By this, what I mean is that there's a never-ending loop the society creates. Education. And now the education system helps in maintaining the societal construct by inculcating in students the same reforms that were there earlier. Society designed its education system in a way that ensures people follow the same path that has been followed by previous generation believing it's the only path. But what we fail to realize is that with each and upcoming generation, our education system becomes more and more obsolete. So this creation of an education system by the society and the maintenance of influence of the society on students in form of an outdated education system is a never-ending loop unless we constantly update the education system. Right now, we have an education system that has completely outlived its use. More than one third of the countries around the world have an education system that was designed to produce clerks and assistants to maintain colonial empires. Today, even after we're independent nations with different needs and challenges, it is a shame that even after almost a century, we still follow an old colonial system. Our education system continues to inculcate the same societal constructs, beliefs, and value as a 200-year-old society. So, can you see how outdated as a society we are? We are stuck in a loop constructed by an old society that thrives on misbeliefs and an environment of demotivation, bullying, and harassment.
So, how do you suggest we break this loop of reinforced societal constructs and misbeliefs?
Thank you, ma'am. So, today, if a person decides to choose a path different than the one the society has told, he will be demotivated, taunted, and teased, only to end up with him taking his own life. Society cannot change its environment unless we speak up and act against this. For us to reform and build a new society, we need to constantly build a better education system where choices and options are welcome and which frames the society by the path of utilitarianism. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Vignesh, Luca, Kemi, Anatol, and Jemina for sharing such profound views on the purpose of education, learning experience, and learning spaces, and society and environment that will help us all to reimagine education for the future, just like we aim to at Tech every year. On that note, I would like to thank everyone participants, speakers, panelists, partners, and UNESCO MGIB team who helped make TWEC 2020 a success. So, see you all next year.
See
See
you
you
at
at Tech
Tech
I'll see you at Tech
2021.
2021.
2021.